It's been another very bad day on the campaign trail for Anthony Albanese. Having earlier made the election about economics when he didn't know the unemployment rate, didn't know the interest rate, today he made it all about border protection, another one of the government's great strengths and a terrible legacy issue for Labor. Having always been against vote turnbacks in the past.
I couldn't ask someone else to do something that I couldn't see myself doing. And if people were in a boat, including families and children, I myself couldn't turn that around.
The opposition leader now says he's for them. But while he's now for boat turnbacks, he's also now against offshore processing, something that even under Kevin Rudd, Labor was once for. Here he is today.
We'll turn boats back. Turning boats back means that you don't need offshore detention.
Now, I heard that comment leave the news bracket on morning radio and I thought to myself, you are kidding me. Here we go again. An absolute gift to the government. It shows that despite it all, Labor has still learned nothing from the border protection chaos and the deaths at sea that they presided over when last in government. 50,000 illegal arrivals. Naturally, the coalition has had a field day. Here's Peter Dutton.
I mean, if that's what he has said, that would be a weakening of the policy that even Julia Gillard had. And I tell you, you would see, I mean, if Anthony Albanese said that now, you would expect the people smugglers to be jumping for joy.
Dutton's entry into the debate was a reminder, wasn't it, that Labor still can't name its Defence Minister or Borders Minister should they win the election. The Prime Minister, of course, didn't miss.
Anthony Albanese has had every position on border protection. He has supported everything he has opposed and he's opposed everything that he has supported. Who is this guy? That's what Australians are asking. He's had 3 years to tell them who he is. People know me. Some people disagree with me. Some people agree with me. Some people don't like how I say some things. Other people do. But you know who I am. And when it comes to border protection, I tell you who knows who I am, the people smugglers.
That was about as deadly as it gets. Now, at one level, I suppose Albanese makes a point. If you can turn boats around, no one gets through, you don't need offshore processing. But you never get a perfect scenario when it comes to boats and people smugglers. If there was a new onslaught from people smugglers, some boats would get through. And you need somewhere other than Australia to put people. Otherwise, they end up here with activist lawyers and taxpayer-funded legal aid. They get the visa outcome they paid the smugglers for. By insisting that he would turn boats back, the opposition leader was trying to show voters that he can be trusted on border protection. But by instantly and unnecessarily adding that he was against offshore processing, he ended up highlighting that he can't be trusted. Albanese today was trying to show that he's changed, that Labor's changed, so that this time voting Labor is a safe change, not a risky one. But he actually ended up reinforcing suspicions that Labor hasn't really changed at all. It's the same old Labor and deep down, the same old Albanese. Look down the Labor front bench. Apart from the shadow treasurer, it's all the same faces recycled from the Rudd-Gillard years, including Chris Bowen, Tony Burke, Brendan O'Connor, the immigration ministers who presided over our country's greatest border protection disasters. That's the trouble with running a small target strategy. It can really only work if you're already a big personality, someone who's known and respected in the electorate. If you're not known, even after 26 years in the parliament and 3 years as opposition leader, a small target strategy looks like you've got something to hide. The opposition leader all but admitted that today when he said, and I quote, "We're not promising everything that we'd like to do."
We're being very fiscally responsible during this campaign. We're not promising everything that we would like to do.
In other words, what we say we'll do isn't really what we'd want to do if we could, or what we will do anyway. But while things could hardly have started worse for the opposition leader, the Prime Minister and his team need to resist getting cocky. For them, the brutal electoral arithmetic hasn't changed. They're still up against it in terms of holding seats and winning some just to hold on to government. And focus group polling in the Financial Review today show that while undecided voters are leaning the government's way, that's only because Scott Morrison is the least of the unimpressive two candidates. Indeed, fair or not, Morrison was described as smirking, unkempt, immature and dishonest. Yet as he said today, compared to his rival, at least you know who I am. Still, having earlier given enthusiastic backing to Senator Claire Chandler's bill to protect women and girls from unfair competition in sport, today the PM was backpedalling, saying there'd be no government support for the bill at all. Now that's disappointing to say the least. And a strategist in me says it is a missed opportunity for the Prime Minister to take a stand for women and girls that isn't about discriminating against transgender people. It's about not letting a tiny segment of the population disadvantage and diminish the hard-won rights of the female sex to a fair go. It's a sort of courage and pushback against PC activists that ordinary Australians are desperate to see from their national leaders. And it's somewhere we know the opposition leader can't and will never go. Without a doubt, Scott Morrison is better than his opponent. I'm with the focus groups on that. But the Conservative in me, well, I wish he was braver, certainly when it comes to policies that will change Australia for the better. So has a horror week destroyed Labor's chances? My instinct is that the next news poll will be pretty close. And the shocker of a first week will play with Albanese's head, as I'm already told it's shaking the confidence of his strategists. But a poll in Sydney's Daily Telegraph today had 78% saying that nothing either side would say in the campaign could change their vote. And given all the undecided voters out there, this still is anyone's race. But 1 week in, remember, it's not a marathon, it's a marathon, not a sprint.